All right, so I just remembered that I need to get to that tote right there because I have spent mushroom blocks that have been in there for probably 6 to 8 months. They've got to be composted at this point. I want to put them under scope. A lot of people are asking, and I haven't looked at just straight up composted spent mushroom blocks, believe it or not. So let's get to it. Let's dive into fungi. All right, so correction, this one's empty. So it's gonna be this one here. Let's open it up. Let's take a look. It's been a long time. Man, I don't even know how it's got moisture. I guess water's seeping in. So yeah, let's look at it. Dang, this must be crazy. It's still, yep. I'm gonna take something from here. It's not so wet. Right here. Where's my little, this is where we're gonna test. That is straight up, broken down. That's almost perfect. Man, that's amazing. Yeah, let's go look at that. All right. What is going on? So I've been asked by a couple people already, and I've been wanting to look at a completely composted mushroom block or mushroom blocks with nothing added, just straight up mushroom blocks. And like I'm showing you on this video, I had a tote that's been sitting for at least 6 to 8 months, probably 8 months. And I forgot I was out there. It's been a long time. I was actually, when I opened it, I thought it was going to be dry. So as you can see, it is not. But all the same, we're going to kind of go through these different levels of mushroom composting. I think I have enough now that I'm going to start with this. And then I still need to look at or put the video together for the Twin Tower one that Rick and I made out there at the garden, at Gardens and Glass. That was fun. I had a lot of good time doing that with Rick. And we'll take a look at that. So anyway, we're going to look at this mushroom block, just straight up spent mushroom block. Again, nothing else added. And I gotta get my hands on the controls here. And this picture video thing takes up way too much space. Let's go. Let's see what we're looking at here. I'm gonna jump right into 400, and this video, this is not a quick dive. This is more of a deep dive, and we're already looking at a lot of good stuff, right? There's spores, spore there, and a spore there. That's potentially a spore. These are all potential spores, to be honest with you. That looks like it's budding, so that might be some type of yeast. So there's a lot of beneficial things already that I'm looking at here. I mean, I just turned this thing on. I never position anything. I turn it on and I jump on the camera. Oh, wrong button. Here. Maybe a testate amoeba. Definitely a testate amoeba here. And then what's going on here? See these little clusters? I'm not sure what that is, but we're going to look at this strand. This might be Hyphae, should be Hyphae. Let's see if I can get a clearer shot on that. Maybe it's an actinomycete. I don't see. That's tough. If you look at these little lines here, first of all, it's clear. It's transparent. We're going to find more. These little, they're called septa. And I'm going to take my time with this video. because we're at the end of the day. The turbo has left my brain, and a couple of people have called me up like, "Mo, you need to slow down. I don't understand what the hell you're talking about sometimes," and I get it. I know a lot of times I'm talking to my regenerative family, and a lot of my fellow microscopists, but yeah, the message is important. I think everybody should understand what we're looking at. Plus, I'm like completely chilled and mellow right now. It's raining, so if my dog barks, forgive him. He freaks out when it comes to thunder. I'm sure a lot of people deal with that. But anyway, let me proceed. So the septa that I was talking about, I look for a consistent septa right here, but this is not consistent, and then the color's off too. So that might be an actinomycete. It's a decomposer, which is still great. I'm not complaining about it. I embrace it. I want it in my compost. It also shares a relationship. Actinobacteria shares a relationship with the soil. So another testate amoeba there, a good looking testate amoeba right in the middle here. So let's just keep going. I'm gonna back out a little bit. Let's go to 100 real quick, and there's actually a lot of testate amoeba in here. Something you definitely want. This thing is fulvic, humic, fulvic. I mean, all the colors are there. Look at how cool this is, whatever this is. What is that, right? That is interesting. That is like, I'm not sure what I'm looking at there. That might be a cluster of spores. You see this? So these might be spores. This is definitely a spore here. You see that? And then you've got these little lines, these little, I don't know if they're called septa in spores, but definitely a lot of spores, which would make sense. I mean, these are mushroom blocks. Lion's mane, blue oyster, and maybe reishi blocks, or actually yellow oyster. I wasn't getting the reishi back then. These are blocks that Rick gave me, and I was being sparing with him at the time, and I forgot about them. When I found them, I didn't have to rehydrate anything. They held the moisture. But I had them in my garage. I took them out of my garage. I put them outside, and I guess you got some rain penetration. Maybe I'm not even sure because it's been dry. Tons of biology. Tons of amoeba. This is testate there. That looks alive. That was a testate, or I don't know if it's alive. It's still, the body of it is packed, right? It's got a lot in there. So I'll find one that, when these things are usually dead, or they leave the system. I don't know what happens there. Sometimes they stay in there, sometimes they die. They're very sensitive, I believe. That's why you don't find them too often moving. This is, let me put the epi light on this stuff. Everything just kind of fades out. So extremely active. And by the way, the bacteria, right? So we're looking at all these little things jittering in the background. You see that on the right side of the screen over here? Something big is moving over there. Let's find it. There's something large around here. Or something maybe swam past it or something. Anyway. Again, I'll go. I'm at 400 magnification. I'm going to go to 600 real quick. Let's find out what's... This whole system is moving. Oh, whatever it is back there. That's a little spirela there. That's there because there was probably too much moisture, but that's only one. So spirelas usually, from what I understand, I haven't done all the research on them. They're pathogens. They're actually pathogens to us and our bodies. But you'll find that in any compost that's been sitting, that's been waterlogged for too long. And how do you get rid of them? You start drying the compost out. They will disappear on you. So I do not fear them whatsoever. And this compost is going to end up being fed to my worms. But going back to the bacteria, all these little things jittering in the background, little tiny dots, that's all bacteria. And these amoeba, all these testates, they eat that bacteria. So the bacteria is what the roots in your plants are communicating with as far as sending out sugars. Through photosynthesis, they send sugars to the roots. I know a lot of us know this, and it's like a custom, I explain it to the kids that I teach it, kind of like Kool-Aid. It's like I explain it as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium are different flavors of a juice, and that the roots, the plant will build up a certain type of sugar and feed it to the bacteria, which is pretty cool. And the bacteria will go get what it needs. But they need to be processed. They need to be eaten, or they need to die and release all the nutrients in them. So that's where all these other big guys come into play. These testate amoebas, nematodes, rotifers, arthropods, worms, earthworms, wigglers. They eat all of this stuff. Look at that. That's pretty cool. There's another spore. So this is loaded, right? This has got a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to get out of 600. I'm at 400, and I'm probably going to dump back to 1. There's more in here than I even understand. This is a spore that looks like it's actually sporulating, if that's the word. It looks like it's going to start growing out. Again, none of this is what a lot of people think mycorrhizal fun. No, these are saprophytic decomposers. These are the ones that you see holding your soil together. Oh, that is interesting. So, and then there are the things that we can't see. We can't see the enzymes. We can't see there's a lot of signaling molecules in here. Oh, look at this Arcella. Wow, that is big. This is an amoeba. That is a beautiful amoeba. Let's see if he lights up. Nope. That is an amazing looking amoeba. Big. I'm at 400. So again, I was just talking about the signaling molecules through, quorum sensing, and there's just so much communication going on here that we know of and have no clue. We only know what we know, and that's not enough. I think it's said that we know what 1% of microbes are in soil. I've heard 1, I've heard 0.0 or 0.1. Either way, I'm seeing a lot of this here. Kind of looks like a jelly bean with a line going through it. So I'm gonna guess that that's a spore. So I'll start paying a lot more attention now. I'm gonna start doing some more work with these mushroom blocks, and Rick over at Gardens and Glass. We've got a little project going. I'm gonna jump to 100. I'm barely moving. I haven't even gone. I'm already so dialed in, and I need to move a little quicker because, again, I know that, again, this can be a while. I think that's like a microanthropod moving around there. Let me see if I can catch up to him. He's just kind of chomping away. There he is. He's moving so fast. Or is that a ciliate? I can't tell. He's actually a little deep too. Yeah, if I'm gonna guess that's a ciliate. More amoeba, and then there's a diversity of testates in here. Look at this one, right? So I'm always looking for diversity. You know, from one block to the next, you know, that can just change things. You know, going back to the stuff we can't see, like phytohormones, auxins, cytokinins, you know, all the stuff that triggers gibberellins and seeds. Very much like the worm castings. Ooh, let's back that up. That is a nematode photobombing my video. I think it's on turbo. So I will not be able to identify that. It's moving way too fast. So I'll just keep moving. Let's see what else we find. I'm sure there's a lot more in here. Look, here we go. We're going to dive into this fungal. You see this whole, we're going to dive into this whole strand here. This one right there. I think that might be fungal. I keep hitting all these buttons. I didn't even know I had that video button until the other day, or maybe like a week or two ago. So if you're looking at the color of that already, it's got a brown tinge to it. That is hyphae. This is what everybody's always looking for in your compost, in your soil. There's your clear septa there. They're very uniformed in width. Here is because it got crushed. You can actually see it twisted. It also got crushed there. So you just got to keep those things in consideration when you've got things under the microscope. But as I'm going deeper, because these are levels, right? There's depth to this slide. I'm seeing yet more septa, just revalidating. There's my little septa separation. That's the way I remember that. And this is the difference between, you know, compost, a good compost and a bad compost. Now look at this. This is now, so here we're looking at septa, right? That's a clear septa. It may be too thick to be an actinobacteria, but look inside of it. It's got bacteria in there. So the question is it, I mean, does it eat bacteria? Yes, it absolutely does. Look up here, right? Look here. And I'm taught by Matt Powers, my instructor, that if it has bacteria in it, then it's not a pathogenic type of fungi. So that's a great indicator when you're looking at something that you do not recognize. This is very thick. And you see the inconsistency in the walls here? Let me see if I can get a better shot of that. You see, it bulges out. It's not even. And again, hyphae is actually even. So could this be some type of actinomycete, actinobacteria? You see up here, they're not even. They're wide. If it's flaring out here, that is not hyphae. I would not call that hyphae from everything that I've learned. I'm gonna dump back to 100. Now here we're looking again at hyphae. I'm going to go back. Let's look at it. Look at the difference. You see how consistent that is? That's even got a spore. It's even producing a spore probably. And everything's going to be probably and maybe here, okay? Because nothing's definite. We're taught that. You take a microscopy course, they teach you that nothing's definite because it's not. And then when you see it get all bent out of shape here, it's because I took this sample, I put it in glass, I shook it, I turned it, which, by the way, let's look at that real quick. That is extremely, look how dark that is. And yeah, I don't use the little test tubes, man. I don't have time for that. I want a good chunky sample. I want to be able to get in there and take a good look. This little test tube with this little 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters of soil. That doesn't work for me. I don't rock like that. I want a mess. Let's go. Anyway, let me keep pushing. The video's already getting long. Take it back to 100. And so I'm very happy with what I'm looking at here. There's a lot of biology here. Sorry, I'm looking at, again, let's go back into the diversity of these test states. And these test states are a big deal. These guys, when you're looking at test states in compost, you made it. You made it, right? That's like, okay, we made it. Yeah, nematodes, great. Nematodes are awesome. Of course you want nematodes. You want everyone there. But when I see test states, I am looking at an extremely healthy compost. They are the true indication of a well-oxygenated compost. That is a good-looking spore there that is growing, sporulating. Or look at this amoeba. This is another test data up here. And again, I'm going to talk about the diversity in them, right? Because we want that from one to the next. Here, look at this one here. Look at the difference, right? So yet another type of amoeba. There are spores everywhere here. Okay, there are tons and tons of spores. And this is just a mushroom block. That has to be that's that Arcella. Look how big. I'm at 100 magnification. This may be the same Arcella we were looking at, but it's worth jumping back in and looking at that thing again, because that thing is, actually, this is a different one. So the size of this amoeba, again, an Arcella, is impressive. And that is a testimony to the maturity of this compost. It's been sitting for such a long time that you end up with these type of systems. Now, this here, I would say I would comfortably classify this as more of an actinomycete, saprophytic decomposing type of fungi if I had to classify it. This here, no idea what that is. I have no clue. That is thick. It's wide. It's for the most part very consistent, right? If you even let's look at it for a minute here. If you look at the way it bows, but it stays consistent, the width. I'm talking about the width, right? Here it flares out, but ultimately it's remaining pretty consistent as far as width. I don't see the septa. And then I guess my next question is, there's bacteria in it, so I'm happy to see that. Look at all the bacteria in this system. So I'm gonna take these compost and I'm gonna feed it to the worms and let them make sure things are in order. Extremely impressed And these things, these mushrooms, they work as fungicides. You've got the oyster in here. You've got you definitely have trichoderma in here. Trichoderma is that green stuff that grows on these blocks. Trichoderma is the green stuff that grows on orange peels. And trichoderma is the green stuff that grows on coffee grounds. So I know a lot of people who see that and they discard their coffee grounds. And I'm like, no, that's perfect. You want trichoderma. Trichoderma shares a relationship with roots similar to mycorrhizal fungi in that it becomes symbiotic with it. So yeah, go look that up. I'm not saying it does what mycorrhizal fungi does, but it has a symbiotic relationship with your roots. Research it. I went a little deep on that one with trichoderma, and I came out at the other end knowing less because it just gets, sometimes you start compounding all this information, and I just kind of go blank. All right, so I'm gonna get to 100 here. I'm comfortable knowing that most of this sample is going to be, I keep looking at this, is going to be the same as far as all the same biology. I mean, well, not the same, but unless something jumps out at me, let's light that up. See that right there, what's going on there? And then when I tell you that it's called quorum sensing, where bacteria, they send out what's called auto-inducers. Bacteria sending signals out to each other, and it's finding the same like bacterium and finding other bacteria. And when they recognize enough of those signals, they make a decision. And the decision here is, let's all glue ourselves to whatever this is, and we're going to light it up. Because I don't know what that is, but you see, it's got a glow to it. Could be, we're looking at it right here, but it could be a piece of organic matter. Let's I'll tell you what, let me hang out here in the epifluorescent light world and see what we find real quick. See what's glowing. I won't be able to explain what we're looking at for the most part. I know that they say that phosphorus lights up that really bright green that you're looking at right there. So let's do this. Let's just kind of move around quickly here. There's a nematode. Nematodes do not like this lighting at all. They hate it. It drives them wild. If I ever want to piss off a nematode, I just turn that light on. Here's another excellent example of a fungal hyphae. Right, we got the clear septa there. We've got the uniformity. We've even got that brown color. And I wonder if I remember, that's some type of indication of, I don't know, humic acid. But there's no doubt about this thing being humic. This is a great shot. If I took a screenshot here, you've got something there. Don't know what. You've got a beautiful piece of fungal hyphae here. And look at all these amoeba and testates and spores, organic matter, bacteria everywhere. Look at this spore. Here's a perfect example of a spore sporulating. Right? Here's your spore. We've been seeing, like, there's a spore there. There's a spore there. There's two of them. But over here, you have the same type of spore that now has opened itself up and it's growing. And it's getting to work. Pretty amazing stuff. If you can get your hands on mushroom blocks, and for the most part, you're doing your local mushroom guy a favor. Let's be clear. If you find your local mushroom grower, go to your marketplace. If there's somebody out there, Mr. Happy Fungi dude, ask him, because the problem they end up having is they end up with all these blocks and they have to deal with it. And they are too busy. I've already grown mushrooms. That is a full-time job times 2. You're waking up at certain times. You've got to harvest. You've got to move. You've got to sterilize. It is an operation. So the last thing they want to deal with is how to get how to deal with this. That they'll put them in the marketplace and they'll try to sell it somehow, and then finally it becomes you get them and you tell them, hey, listen, I can come here every week if you give them to me at a deep discount. Depending on what you do, as much as we're composting, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it. This is another large Arcella. I keep going back. So again, this is a huge slide too. I can be here for days. I really can. There's another nematode right there. There's another. I don't know. I don't know what that is. I can't tell you this. If it's fungal, it's got septa, right? We're looking at these separations in it right here, right here. So I won't try to guess. I'm going to move quickly through this. That's got to be fungal. Look how wide that is. Dang. Look at that. You know what's really cool too about fungi? I love observing fungi, hyphae and mycelium under the microscope because it connects to organic matter. You see it jump, right? This happens in the soil. This is why it's so important. It's right here. It's connected to this big body of organic matter. It's reaching out. It's making contact here, picking up nutrients, decomposing. Oh, we got a rotifer. I love roties. Some of my favorite microbes. I'm going to start actually growing them for aquatic systems, but that's for a later video. But you see, then it's bouncing here, and then look, whatever in here is red. You see that? So I want to light that up and see what happens there. That's just a good looking piece of organic matter. And then look at the color of this here. Wow. So that's the green that I'm telling you about that supposedly is phosphorus, right? Or some other type of mineral or nutrient. Where'd the rotifer go? Let's show him a little love. He's down here working. These rotifers are amazing, and I'm going to do a lot more research on them as I learn and grow them out. But they're absolute shredders. They are junk collectors. Look how hard they work. They're just cleaning it up, taking in bacteria and creating life. They move like that. They crawl. They can fly. They can flat out fly across the slide. It's always fun to see that. More of the There's a lot of Arcella in here, right? That's another big Arcella. I'm at 100 magnification. There's another one there. There's this guy here. I'm seeing enough of this that now when I'm paying attention as I'm observing more and more mushroom, I'm looking for that. And I'm at some point going to say, okay, that's part of a mushroom block. That's going to be part of the hyphae that's in it. Again, have to observe it enough. Another nematode. Anyway, there's one more thing I want to do, and I'm going to put these polarized film on this and see what type of colors I get, which usually in mushrooms is a lot just because of their secondary metabolites and what they process and the minerals, and they're mineral rich. Look at that. All of a sudden everything changes, right? Even what's inside of that nematode. And just to point it out again, that's the nematode. But you've got all of a sudden you light up, right? I can't tell you which minerals are what, but I can tell you that there's a lot glowing here. There's another nematode. See if we can dial them in a little bit. So whatever it's eating is what's glowing inside of it. This is what you get with mushrooms. So then you go do what? I consider it a double dip, right? Because I'll go now feed this to worms. And they're going to get, they're going to take it and they're going to tear it down. And they're going to process it again, It's like, and you're going to get all the benefits from that as well. And then I'll take those castings and do what I want to do with them. And I will always add some to compost. So then that's like a triple dip. Or take it and add it to bokashi. That's, you got to get crazy. Like Bob Ross. You just got to go for it. And I'm reminded of that every time I'm on my computer because I'm a big Bob Ross fan. So yeah, it reminds me to get crazy. I'm going to put him next to my compost pile so that it helps me think outside the box. Bob Ross was a hero of mine. Amazing artist. So I've somehow turned that into a compost thing. Turn everything into a compost thing. Anyway. Okay, well, I think we've spent enough time here. I hope that people get out of this what I got out of it. That at the end of the day, these mushroom blocks are wicked. There's 2 more nematodes that I'm looking at. If I'm going to just I haven't even made it to the other side of the slide. So look at this Roti. Chill. Let's see if we can get a better picture. It looks a little different. I wonder if. And then they do that. They reach out and then they retract themselves. And from what I've been told, they do that when they swallow. He looks a little blurry. Anyway, I'll try to put timelines on this video. Because again, I can sit here diving into everything, man. This is what is this, right? Look at that. What's that? All right, then I'm gonna say, okay, does it light up under epi? Something's going on there, and that look there to me is an indication that that's an egg of some sort. It's alive. It is alive. You can see it moving. So yeah, I don't know what kind of egg that is, but there's a mass inside of that that's actually moving. So the epi is not lying at this point. That's why whenever I light something up that looks like that, eggs get this ring around it. Look at this. Look how much hyphae is here. That's a beautiful thing. Imagine that. Imagine that, putting that in your garden bed or your out there on your plots. This is what we strive for, man. And it's sitting here in mushroom blocks with really zero effort other than me taking it, breaking them up, and dumping them into a tote. But we have to go enhance things and add to it. That's what I do. That's what we do. We all do. Why not? We need that diversity. Some of the better looking Arcella I've ever seen. Clean, precise. Look at that. Just right next to a testate amoeba. And whatever that thing is, there's your testate right here. And there's your Arcella right here. And that shell, by the way, because that is a shell, is made of everything in its surroundings. They build their own shells, like types of crustacean in a way. And then you've got that just kind of wigging out underneath it all. And then whatever that is, right? And then over here, there's just so much life. There's another spore. There's that over here, right? That's alive. Whatever it is, it's all alive. And then all the bacteria. Then you've got the organic matter. You've got more organic matter. So do not doubt mushroom blocks. And then use them. This is an inoculant, guys. Like, this to me is an inoculant. You can take this and you can inoculate compost with it. You can inoculate garden beds with it. Look at, here's another spore, sporulating. Everything here is active. Everything here is already moving. It's already made decisions. It's already said, hey, it's time to sporulate, man. This environment is perfect for what I want. Therefore, I'm going to sporulate. Otherwise, those spores can be there for years and years and years until conditions are favorable. Look at this. This is some type of amoeba. I mean, there's another testate. So if you had any doubts, you should clear that up. And unfortunately, what we're looking at here is probably a microplastic. You just can't get away from it. If in microplastic, the one great thing about the epifluorescent light is it will expose it, and it normally glows. In this case, it's not. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not a microplastic. That would be a good thing. Yeah, it's not glowing. So then what is that? If that's not a microplastic, what is it? So the next thing I do now is I'm trying to look inside of it for bacteria to see if it's alive, see if it's eating bacteria. It could be, I have no idea. It could be a microplastic that doesn't light up. I mean, I don't know. It's not clear enough. It's too dense. I can't answer that, so I'm not gonna worry about it. If I had to make a call though, I'm gonna call it plastic. Call it what it is. More nematodes, more testates, and I'm really trying to get to the other side of this slide. And this is, by the way, I'm barely going up or down. I'm just going across. And this is 3 drops of water spread out on a slide. Look at this guy. That is cool. This is like a star amoeba of some sort. There are many different amoebas that have this star pattern to it. So I just calling it a star amoeba. If it was a naked amoeba, it would just kind of be like a blob. I've seen naked amoeba make this pattern, but then move out of it. So it's probably just coincidence. There's no coincidence here. That's definitely some type of star amoeba, which looks really cool. Is it eating something? They usually wrap their bodies around, like starfish. I've seen some star amoeba will wrap their bodies around things, like starfish do. That's a cool find. That's a cool shot. I dig that. And let's keep pushing to the end of the slide. Look at this. Here. All right, we're on the edge. So at least we kind of made it across and we wiggled up and down. Look at this colony of organic matter. And I mean, dude, look at that. It's just so much happening there. There's so much happening there. Let's put the epi on that. Oof, dude, what? That is filled with nutrients, minerals of all kind. That's awesome. Matter of fact, let's back this up. Take a look from a distance. Wow, that's impressive. And then one more thing I'll do is let's put this filter back on. Let me tune in here, and then let's see what lights up here. I can't. Wow, underwhelming. Was it like a blob of some type of phosphorus or something? I don't know. Whatever is this is why we don't have enough research. We don't have enough information on these epi lights, but that's lighting up beautifully. Whatever that is, whatever compound that is, that's ready to rock and roll. I'm all about it. Anyway, all right, man. This video has gone 47 minutes, so I'll try to put some timelines on it. I'll figure that out. I think I already done that before, so. But let's go. We know now what only mushroom blocks look like composted. So I'm glad this video is out of the way because I'm going to do the mushroom block tower that I want to look at again that I did with Rick over there, Gardens in Glass. I'll put that video at the end of this one so that if you do want to watch it, check it out. I had a lot of fun making that video. I had a lot of fun making that compost. And then there we go. So I'll end this with this here. This is without a doubt microplastic. You see this? First of all, it's red. So it could have been from a bag. Right? Let's go 400. This is another thing we're researching right now and we're trying to figure out, but I'm trying to think what could have been red. You know what? The top of the tote is red. So, maybe when I go in there with my shovel and whatever I do, I'm scratching it. But the epifluorescent is it's gonna light it up. There's no question about it. That is like an orangish red piece of plastic, and it's big. So unless there was like a bag or whatever it was, I mean, it's a large piece of microplastic. And unfortunately, we're seeing more and more of this stuff. So we're kind of going in on this and figuring out, well, just trying to figure out if microbes eat it. There's a lot of research on that, but that's for another video. All right, we're now in 49 minutes. I'm out.